If you're over 60, I want you to imagine a danger that never shows up on an X-ray, never appears in a blood test, and never flashes red on a heart monitor, but quietly ruins seniors every single day. You wake up one morning, your heart is still beating. Your blood pressure is okay for your age. Your doctor says you're doing fine, but inside something else is happening. You lie there staring at the ceiling, and a voice in your head whispers, "Why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel so alone even when people are around? How did my life turn into this? And when did it happen?" No scan can detect that. No pill can fix that. Psychologists now warn that emotional traps after 60 can quietly damage your brain, your heart, your sleep, and even your immune system, sometimes more than many physical illnesses. One long-running study from a major U.S. university found that seniors who stayed stuck in chronic emotional stress, loneliness, and regret had a 50% higher risk of early death compared to those who were emotionally healthy, even when their physical health looked similar. Think about that for a moment. The feelings you ignore can silently hurt you more than the diseases you fear. That's why today's topic is so important. These 5 emotional traps are ruining seniors after 60. Most don't notice until too late. If you're between 60 and 80, I want you to stay with me like your future depends on it. Because in a way, it does. Before we dive into emotional trap number 5, do something powerful for yourself. Comment below your age and where you're watching from. It reminds you that you are part of a real community of seniors, not just sitting alone with a phone or TV. And it helps us create videos that truly match what you are going through. All right, let's start with the emotional trap that destroys more peaceful nights than any illness. And most seniors don't even realize they're caught in it. Emotional trap. 5. The silent resentment trap. Have you ever replayed an old argument in your head, over and over, sometimes for years? Maybe it's something your son said 10 years ago. Maybe it's a sibling who didn't help when you needed them most. Maybe it's a spouse who never really listened. You smile at them during holidays. You say, "It's fine, I'm over it." But when the house gets quiet, the anger is still there, simmering like a pot left on low heat. This is the silent resentment trap. From the outside, you look calm. On the inside, your body is on emotional high alert. Researchers have found that people who hold on to long-term resentments and grudges have higher levels of stress hormones, more sleep problems, and more heart issues than those who learn to process and release those emotions. It's like carrying a heavy backpack every single day, even while you're just sitting in a chair. Let me give you a real-life example. Mary, 72, looked perfectly healthy on paper. Her blood pressure was controlled. Her labs weren't perfect, but not terrible. Still, she complained of constant fatigue, poor sleep, and this feeling of tightness in her chest. After months of tests, her new doctor finally asked her one question. "Who are you still angry at?" She started crying. Out came a 30-year story, a betrayal in the family, money that went wrong, years of feeling used and unappreciated. She had never really told anyone. She believed talking about it won't change anything. So she just swallowed it. For decades, her body didn't swallow it. Her nervous system was living in fight or flight mode for years. Here's the shocking part. After she finally began talking with a counselor, writing letters she never sent, and practicing forgiveness for her own peace, not to excuse what happened, but to free herself. Her sleep improved, her chest tightness faded, and her energy came back. Not because of a new pill, but because she stepped out of the silent resentment trap. Solution in simple steps. Start by writing a truth letter. You don't have to send it. Just write what really happened, what you felt, what you still feel. At the bottom of the letter, write, "I choose to stop letting this memory control my body and my future." Talk to someone safe, a counselor, a trusted friend, a faith leader. Saying it out loud weakens the trap. Remember, forgiveness is not approval. It's choosing your health over your anger. If anything I just said feels uncomfortably familiar, that's your brain telling you, this might be about you. Don't click away. The next trap might explain why you feel anxious and restless even when nothing is wrong. Emotional trap. Number 4, the "I'll be happy when" Trap. I'll be happy when my daughter calls more. I'll be happy when my son visits. I'll be happy when my grandkids respect me more. I'll be happy when my pain goes away. This is one of the cruelest traps after 60 because it keeps your happiness locked in the hands of other people or in a perfect future that may never come. Psychologists call this conditional happiness. Your brain learns that joy is always somewhere else. Not today, not here, not with you as you are now. What does this do to seniors? It makes every day feel like a waiting room. It makes you feel powerless and bitter. It quietly tells your brain, today is not enough. I am not enough. My life as it is not enough. Over time, this mindset is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even faster cognitive decline because the brain stops noticing small daily pleasures. Let me tell you about Robert, 68. Robert spent years saying, I'll be happy when my son finally apologizes about something that happened when his son was 19. His son moved states, started a family, and still never apologized the way Robert wanted. So every phone call felt disappointing. Every holiday felt tense. He looked healthy, but emotionally he was starving. One day his daughter asked him a simple question. Dad, if that apology never comes, are you planning to stay unhappy for the rest of your life? That question hit him harder than any illness. He realized he had handed his emotional remote control to someone else. So he began practicing something called daily microjoy. Here's how it works. Every morning, he wrote down 3 tiny things that were already good before anyone called, visited, or did anything right. It could be, my coffee smells amazing. I still have my eyesight and can read. The sun feels warm on my face. Within weeks, he noticed his mood lifting slightly. Within months, he felt less desperate for that perfect apology. Did the family suddenly become perfect? No. But he stepped out of the I'll be happy when trap and moved into I can still be happy while. Quick engagement moment. Tell me in the comments, if you're comfortable, what is one thing you've been secretly telling yourself? I'll be happy when. Just naming it is the first step to breaking it. Stay with me, because the next emotional trap may explain why you feel tired, older than your age, and weaker than your tests suggest, even when your doctor says you're doing fine. Emotional trap. You're 3. The I'm just old, it's too late. Trap. This one is deadly because it sounds reasonable. I'm too old to start that. I'm too old to learn technology. I'm too old to make new friends. I'm too old to change. You've probably heard people say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. But brain scientists have proven something incredible. The human brain can grow new connections, even in your 70s and 80s, if you challenge it the right way. This ability is called neuroplasticity, and it doesn't have an age limit. Yet many seniors live as if their brain is frozen after 60. Here's the dangerous part. Once you start repeating, it's too late often enough, your brain believes you. It stops trying. Muscles shrink faster. Memory weakens faster. Confidence collapses. Not because you're old, but because your brain has surrendered. Let me show you how shocking this trap can be. Linda, 74, lost her husband and fell into a deep emotional hole. She told everyone, my life is basically over. I'm just waiting. A friend forced her to join a simple community class once a week, a beginner art group for seniors. She almost didn't go because she kept saying, I'm too old to start drawing. The first day her hands shook. Her drawing looked like a child's. She felt embarrassed, but she went back and back and back. After a few months, something wild happened. Her sleep improved. Her appetite improved. Her memory woke up. Why? Because each time she tried something new, her brain released growth chemicals, building new connections, like tiny new roads. Some studies show that seniors who keep learning and challenging their brains regularly can cut their risk of dementia almost in half. Shocking, isn't it? Not a new pill, not a magical supplement. Just refusing to live in the I'm just old, it's too late trap. Here's how to break this trap, even gently. Pick one small new thing, a new route to walk, a new recipe, a new word in another language, a simple app. Practice once a day, even for 10 minutes. Every time you hear yourself say, "I'm too old," add this sentence: "But my brain is still capable of learning something today." You don't have to become a genius. You just have to stop telling your brain to shut down early. If you've been calling yourself too old, you might be accidentally speeding up the very decline you fear. The next trap does something even worse. It slowly erases who you are. Emotional trap. Number 2, the people-pleasing and guilt. Trap, this one is especially common in seniors who spent their whole lives taking care of everyone else. You raised kids, you helped your spouse, you worked hard, sacrificed sleep, money, and dreams. Now you're over 60 and you still feel guilty saying no. You don't want to bother your children. You don't want to upset anyone. You say yes to favors even when you're exhausted. You keep quiet when someone disrespects you because you don't want drama. On the outside, you look like the nice one. On the inside, your self-respect is shrinking a little bit each year. Science shows that people who constantly suppress their needs and live in chronic guilt have higher levels of stress, anxiety, and even inflammation. Their body never truly rests because their mind is always worried about disappointing someone. Imagine a woman named Carol, 69. Her adult son constantly asks for money, even though he has a good job. Her daughter expects free babysitting at all hours. Her siblings call her only when they need help. When her doctor asks, "What do you do for yourself?" she doesn't even know how to answer. One day, Carol ends up in the hospital with chest pain. Heart attack? No. Her heart was structurally okay, but her life was not. Her cardiologist gently said something that changed everything. "Your heart is tired of caring for everyone except you." That sentence hit harder than any test result. Here's the solution that slowly helped her escape the people-pleasing trap. She practiced one small no per week. Just one. Maybe saying, "I can't this weekend," or "I need to rest today." She wrote a list of non-negotiables: a daily walk, a quiet hour in the afternoon, a limit on lending money. She reminded herself every morning, "I am not just a helper. I am a human being with needs." At first, some family members got upset. Of course they did. They were used to unlimited access to her time and energy. But slowly, something powerful happened. Her stress dropped. She smiled more. She felt more alive. And here's the surprising part. The people who truly loved her adjusted. The ones who only used her faded away. If you're watching this and thinking, "Oh my God, that sounds like me," then you already know. This is not about being selfish. It's about staying emotionally alive. Quick question for the comments. Have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Type yes in the comments if that's been your life story too. Because the final emotional trap may be the most dangerous of all, and almost every senior falls into it without realizing, until their world has become very small. Emotional trap. Bar for one, the slow isolation. Trap, most seniors don't wake up one day and say, "I'm going to be lonely now." It doesn't happen in one moment. It happens slowly. You stop driving at night. You skip one gathering because you're tired. Then you skip the next because it's too hot or too cold. You tell yourself, "My friends are busy. I don't want to bother them." You spend more and more time with the TV, the phone, or just your thoughts. Months pass, then years. One day you look around and realize you're not really in anyone's life. You're just watching life. This is the slow isolation trap, and it can be more dangerous than many physical illnesses. Huge studies on seniors have shown that chronic loneliness can increase your risk of dementia, raise your risk of heart disease, disrupt your sleep, weaken your immune system, and even shorten your life on the same level as smoking or obesity. But because loneliness doesn't show up on a blood test, people ignore it. They say, "I'm just a quiet person," or "I don't want to trouble anyone." Let me paint a picture. John, 76, lives alone. His children love him, but they're busy. They call once in a while. They visit on holidays. John tells everyone, "I'm fine. I like my peace and quiet." But every night when he turns off the TV, the silence feels like a weight on his chest. He starts talking less. He laughs less. He forgets things more often. He feels older every month. One day his neighbor invites him to a simple weekly breakfast group at a local diner. Nothing fancy, just coffee, eggs, and conversation with other seniors. He almost doesn't go. He tells himself the same old lines. They don't really want me there. I'll be the oldest. I have nothing interesting to say, but he forces himself to try. The first time, he mostly listens. The second time, he shares a small story from his past. The third time, someone says, "John, we're glad you came. You always have something wise to say." That one sentence lights something up inside him. After a few weeks, his appetite improves. His memory sharpens. His mood lifts. Not because he started a new medication, not because something huge changed, but because he escaped the slow isolation trap. How you can break this trap starting this week. Make one social promise you keep every week. It could be a call with a friend or neighbor, a group at your church, community center, or senior club A class or hobby group. Treat it like any other serious appointment. You wouldn't casually skip a doctor visit. Don't casually skip your social health either. Use technology on purpose, not randomly. Schedule a weekly video call or voice call. Look at someone's face. Hear their laugh. You might say, "But I don't have anyone." Then your first step is to go where people are. The library, a senior center, a walking group, a volunteer spot. Even sitting in the same place every week at the same time helps people start to recognize you, because your brain wasn't designed to age alone. Bringing it all together. Let's quickly repeat the 5 emotional traps so they stick in your mind. Silent resentment, old anger living in your body, raising stress and stealing peace. I'll be happy when, tying your joy to other people, or a perfect future that may never come. I'm just old, it's too late, telling your brain to shut down years earlier than it has to. People-pleasing and guilt. Always saying yes, even when your heart and body are begging for rest. Slow isolation. Quietly withdrawing until your world shrinks to 4 walls and a screen. These traps are stronger than many diseases because they control your decisions. They shape your relationships. They change your brain chemistry, your sleep, your stress, and your hope. But here's the most important lesson of all. You are not too old to step out. Not at 60, not at 70, not at 80, or even beyond. Your brain is still listening to the stories you tell it. Your heart is still responding to the people you let in. Your future is still being built by the choices you make this year, this month, even today. So here's your challenge. Tonight, before you go to bed, ask yourself 3 questions. Which emotional trap am I most stuck in right now? What is one tiny action I can take this week to loosen its grip? Who is one person I can talk to about this so I'm not fighting it alone? And now I truly want to hear from you. Which of these 5 traps hit you the hardest? Have you ever broken free from one of them? How did it change your life? Share your story in the comments. You never know. Your words might be the exact message another senior needs to read tonight to choose life over emotional decay. If this video spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Give it a like so more seniors can see it. Subscribe if you want more honest, science-backed, and heart-centered videos made just for people over 60. Remember this, your body may be aging, but your emotional life doesn't have to slowly die with it. You still have time to release resentment. You still have time to create joy today, not someday. You still have time to learn to say no, to connect, to laugh, to love. You are not just surviving after 60. You still have the power to rewrite the story.